could talk about. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up, chop it up, chop it up, chop it. We got some things we could talk about. Come to the show, we about to chop it up. Come to the show, we got some things we could talk about. Come to the show, we about to chop it up. Come to the show, we got some things we could talk about. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up, chop it. We got some things we could talk about. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it up, chop it up, chop it. We got some things we could talk about.
Good evening and welcome to the Chop Shop. I'm your host, Pastor Marvin McKenstry Jr., and I'm excited to come to you that God gives us this privilege every Thursday at 6 p.m. via Facebook and YouTube Live. The first thing I need you to do is to begin to like and share this broadcast. Today's show is going to be a great one. I see that many places in our community, we propose that there's some pre-prescribed or preset ideals that we must have according to us being Black people in urban Baltimore. But there are those that defies that logic, those who decide to think through the process. And it puts many times us at differences of opinion. Well, tonight we got two brothers tonight that don't regularly share the same viewpoint or perspective, but they agreed to come on here tonight and talk about many of the issues that are affecting us here in the city of Baltimore. But before we get to our guests, I want to bring on the screen my right hand and my left hand. He's my main man, Mr. Shaka Pitts, on the ones and twos, making the magic happen, Techniques 1200s, because anything else is uncivilized. What's up, Shaq?
What's up, brother? How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm not doing great. American blood has been spilled in Afghanistan, and I don't care where a person stands politically. Those are sons and daughters of people who did not ask to be in anybody's war, even if they signed up for military service. So today, you know, we flying the Chop Shop flag at half staff because of the death of these brothers, man. I don't know what to say about the whole situation, Shop.
It's you know, it's a cluster F, as we would say in the military, man. There's no, you know, this is lessons unlearned, brother. This is lessons unlearned, man. This is, you know, the United States has had time, you know, 50 years to figure stuff out, and we still doing the same things we was doing in Vietnam. We still in people's backyards and front yards we shouldn't be in, and you know, it's no good way. It was not gonna be a good way out of this, Marv, and that's the bad part about it. And like you said, there's people who are, you know, there's people actually, Marv, who didn't sign up for this. You know what I mean? There's some people who just trying to live life, and they caught up in everything else. So, you know, it's sad for the people who did sign up. They don't sign up expecting it, and there's some others who don't. You know, they're trying to live life. So it's sad, and I definitely you know, send a kite up to the Creator for the people who was injured and those who lost their lives.
Man. My prayer is that in times like these, you know, we forget about what side of political lines we fall on and all that other stuff, and really think about life, you know, and think about lives lost, man. And we all be able to send a kite up to the Creator, you know, praying for peace and comfort for the families that are going to be affected by this. Because it's, you know, it's been with me all day, man. Just, you know, I served in the military. I was a young kid, and I needed something to do with my life to hopefully not wind up in prison for the long haul, because I had already been as a teenager. And it seemed like it was something to get me out my neighborhood and all of that good stuff. And I was blessed to be a Clinton soldier. We ain't seen no war. It was a few little private conflicts, but my man was a little busy in the Oval Office. So, you know, he was a little busy in the Oval Office.
It was other things on the agenda.
It was other things on the presidential agenda. But no, all jokes aside, you know, didn't really have to see no combat or nothing like that, man. But I'm never separated because I made friends over there, man. Good brothers who in that time became family, especially for me as such a young man, that I would have been willing to lay down my life for. And today, so many of our troops laid down their life, man. So again, no matter where you find yourself on political lines, if you got something ignorant to say on that note, please don't bring it on here, because I got time for all of it today. But we do want to, we flying the Chop Shop flag at half staff, sending love and sending all of our prayers up for those that have been lost and those families that have been affected by it. Come on, man, let's get to these church announcements.
Yes, sir.
Y'all know, as always, we start the church announcements off with the Stop the Beef hotline. We are always going to start it with the Stop the Beef hotline, because we really know that murder can be stopped. We believe it will be stopped, and we got to do what we got to do to make sure that it can be stopped. So you see the number going across the screen, and you see the two numbers that are listed right there on the card. I want you to dial that number if you know somebody that's in some sort of trouble or danger. We do everything as a result of this line, from mediate to pay the debt, buy a plane ticket, whatever we need to do to get somebody out of harm's way. We make sure that it happens so that life can be preserved. This is an initiative of the We Are Us Brothers Stop the Beef hotline. All right, now we got our peace agreement is coming up on the screen. Our peace agreement is a 10-point plan that we've been taking into the places where people are being greatest affected by violence. Those who are both the perpetrators of some of the violence and those who are the victims are signing off, saying that even if I got to eat out here in these streets, I ain't got to kill a doubt in these streets. And we want to make sure that the message goes out that there is an alternative, there is another way, and that you don't have to be a victim of violence. We can come to a point of reasoning and agreement and do something about it. Tomorrow, 12 to 5 p.m., we are going to be at Cross Country Elementary Middle School, and y'all know how we coming with the jobs. There's going to be free book bags, supplies, music, food, a vaccine clinic. All of that's going to be in the house, but we will be there with the jobs to make sure that anybody that needs a job, anybody that needs an opportunity. And listen, man, Shaka, it's crazy because I'm getting hit up by more and more businesses that are from in this area that is finding out about the good work that we're doing to help recruit for other businesses, man. And they are signing up and signing on saying, hey, we want you to get us the people that we need. So meet us there tomorrow. We have everything from postal worker positions down to warehouse positions, you name it, we got it. All right. So we got another big deal happening this weekend, and this is with my man, Mr. Rich Mike himself. Y'all know, Raising in the City Hope, or if you know where it come from, raised in Cherry Hill. My man Mike, his big back to school bash. And guess what, y'all? The jobs are going to be out there. He's got live music. He got food. The kids are going to be in full effect, and the school supplies are going to be there. Mike is doing an amazing work. He's about to launch his workforce development initiative. And listen, y'all, I was a fly on the wall. This program that he's about to do is going to be revolutionary and bring more change to Cherry Hill. Y'all know Cherry Hill has been kind of leading the way as it pertains to even seeing a difference in what's been happening with our murder rate. So I need y'all to make sure that if you can't make it out there to support him, that you're sending up prayers to support him, because Rich Mike is doing a great and rich work in the Cherry Hill community. We were out there again today. I didn't get the privilege of being able to attend this time, but we were out there with my good friend and brother, Pastor Aaron Hanna today. Pastor Hanna every Wednesday is bringing out food, groceries, fresh produce to the community. They look for it. They come out in abundance to get it, and we are hitting those crowds and sharing opportunities with them while we out there. So Cherry Hill is definitely making a move. If you are a pastor, leader, or anybody else that has an initiative that you do with regularity or an event that you have coming up, please reach out to us. Hit me on Facebook. You can reach me in my inbox, or you can send me an email at mmckenstry@oedworks.com, and we will get to your event. August 29th. That's right, y'all. We even out here on Sundays. My young gunner, the soldier himself, my right-hand man, Mr. Dwayne Williams, is going to be representing MOED at the Empowered to Stand Health Services event. It's going to be hosted by WEAA personality, Mr. Anthony McCarthy. There's going to be a ribbon cutting and resource fair, face painting, mood bounce, food giveaways, all kinds of stuff. Make sure, y'all, we always say it's at 8110 Harford Road, Suite B, but make sure if you're not able to stop in, you support with your prayers. Any of this good work and these good initiatives that's doing a good thing, we want you to be there. Then on September the 4th, boy, we are rocking and rolling. My right-hand man, I know I got a bunch of right hands, but Mr. Ray Kelly, my big brother, newly appointed to the Discovery Committee for regaining local control of our police. And Shot, you know what I did. I jumped on and booked him already. That's right. He coming on here to talk to us about it on the 25th or 23rd of September. But we going to be supporting him. Boy, they got a group of partners that came together. The Citizens Policing Project, Hope Baltimore, Making Changes LLC are going to be getting together. That Triune is going to be getting together to put together their own back-to-school event, but they're going to put a twist on it because they're going to have expungements and warrant recalls. That means if somebody has an outstanding warrant for certain offenses, they will be there to be able to get that warrant recalled. Hey, Miss KJ McKenzie, we got to get you on the show, sis. All right. Pennsylvania Avenue at the Triangle Park, 2000 Pennsylvania Avenue, 21217. All right, man. We are 11 minutes into this broadcast. We have cleared the church calendar. As we always say, govern yourselves accordingly. It's time to get to this dialogue. The first brother that I want to bring on is new to the show, and I've been able to kind of follow a lot of his commentary, and he is not shy and not ashamed. I think he is the founder and director of the Sellout Award because he's the only person I've ever seen give it out. But he is a brother that cares about Baltimore, and tonight he's here to share his viewpoint and his perspective. I mistakenly had him listed on the original post as a Democrat, but I understand he's like me, a registered independent, and he's agreed to come and have this conversation in our new versus format tonight. I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Pless Jones Jr. Thank you, Brother Pless, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You sound good, man. Your audio is on point, so we ain't gonna miss a thing you say. And this
good. Yeah,
is a constant contributor to the Chop Shop. Y'all know he ran on the Republican ticket for the city council president. That was really my introduction to him, and I took a real liking to this brother because his views are well thought. He has not put himself inside of anybody's box, and he is unashamedly a thinker and somebody that wants to share his perspective based on good, concentrated thought. He was this close to being a guest host on the Chop Shop when I had myself a little emergency. And when I called the brother, he said, man, I got you. I got it. Don't worry about it. Things kind of ironed himself out, but I'm sure you may see him in that role in the future. I'm talking about the one and the only. I call him my brother, Mr. Jovani Patterson. Man, thank you for being with us tonight.
What up?
That's right. Y'all see my man Andy Pierre put it up there. Are you ready to rumble? Listen, y'all, this is a platform today where we are going to iron out, hash out, and talk about some things that we know there's already a sense of disagreement. These two brothers, if you have ever caught them in Baltimore City voters, Baltimore City black voters, whichever one, on either one's post, they disagree with each other. And when I say, look, y'all need to come on my show and just have the conversation. So the first thing that I'm going to throw out there, right? And I'm going to throw this at you, Jovani, because I said it in the beginning. We appear when it comes down to black issues or issues that are affecting the black community, people based on political affiliation or the color of their skin assume that there should be some pre-prescribed answer or some sense of support for people who got themselves all mixed up in some corruption scandal. We don't know what's going on. Talk to me about it, man.
Yeah, so it seems like if we're black, we can't hold each other accountable. And it's like being black means we're black more than we are being right. And I just don't agree with that. I believe that we have to stand up for what's right, no matter the skin color, no matter who's saying it. If we're going to get out of the hole that we are in Baltimore City, we have to address it with tangible solutions, not the same thing that's done over and over again, expecting different results. We've been seeing the same thing in Baltimore City for years and decades and decades. Baltimore's been run by majority black people since the mid 80s. And, there hasn't been anything that changed. So when I call it out, I've been called a sellout. Pless gave me that degree, but now I realize it's not worth the paper that it's written on, because it came from him. So that's what it is.
So Pless, that's immediately what I want to jump to, man. The sellout degree. I want you to give us some qualifying factors for what the sellout degree is, man, and then we're gonna start to talk about some issues in Baltimore and where we stand on those issues.
Right. So I don't think there's any like criteria to that. I think it was in the moment with Jovani and listening to him express things in such a broad stroke, and I agree with what he's saying. As someone who kind of looks at both sides of the table, I understand you don't follow things because they're black. You don't follow people just because, it's kind of a democratic type of space that, black folks, so I agree with that to that extent, but that doesn't say that there are politicians and people in these spaces that are getting, kind of a bad rap within the media. Accountability is one thing when there's clearly a crime and clearly with the media spotlight that are placed on these crimes. There's not a black person in this country that's going to get away with anything like that. So if the media coverage lasts for more than 2, 3, 4, 5 months, then that, just by understanding a little bit more than just kind of what's in front of you, that there can't be any like guilty. There's no guilt there because it would be out, it would be exposed, So I think that award and that kind of back and forth with Jovani and I on social media was just kind of a pointing out that, you kind of silo your thoughts into a space that only gives you a black or white answer. But we all know the world doesn't work like that. And, that was kind of.
So how is our government set up? Like if I know one thing Nick Mosby said, when he got elected was that, hey, policy has been our disease and policy will be the cure. But when we look at our city council, there's not been one policy that they've put forth, not been one legislation, not been one code or ordinance that has been repealed or redacted or amended since they've been in office. So if policy is the cure, then what policies have they been changing, affecting? These are the things that I'm saying. Like we keep trying to do these task force and committees and all these other things that are literally wasting taxpayer money instead of actually addressing the issues, whether it be the laws, the taxes, the education system, the court system. None of this stuff is being addressed. It's all a facade.
Right. And again, I can't help but to agree with what you're saying, Jovani. I think that what we have to understand is that if we're not part of the solution, then highlighting being critical of government doesn't help. What we do understand is that
I'm supposed to just kiss their boots.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
So I'm not supposed to be critical.
Let me finish. So what we do understand is that talented people don't stay in government because people that want security stay in government. So we have to, as private folk, have to create the mechanisms by which the government can move, understanding everything about politics, understanding that, these politicians or these people who is in their heart to run aren't always completely about servicing the people other than the servicing themselves. You have to consider that as a private citizen in whatever you do. And maybe it's not kiss their boots, but maybe it's design a way that they can effectuate wellness in these black communities based on models that we create. We can't expect the federal government, the state government or any government. We can't expect any of them to come up with the ways that is going to pull people out of their condition, out of our condition. We have to bring that to the government and say, here's the way, and understand how we approach that. The issue is not that we have had all these black people for these centuries or for this last 50, 60 years in these places. That's because of the nature of the demographics of the city, but there's always the things that are, or the people that are over the assets of the city are never us. So that's the problem. These boogeymen been sitting in places for 30, 40, 45 years. And they have always.
I think one of the greatest evils that exists is forgetfulness. And the reason that is because if we look at our city government, if you read the pages of the city budget, the top of the hierarchy is the people. And that is the one thing that's absolutely been forgotten within the way we govern or within the way we view government. My position wholeheartedly is power needs to be returned back to the people, period. Like that's the only place it stands. But when we've turned over our power to the government and now expect them to, do our bidding or stand up for the people, that never happens. And it never will happen because government was not designed to control people, which is what we've allowed it to do in Baltimore. It's designed to be for the people. This is why we need to have the power returned back to the people of government, period.
I agree with you 100%, but then how do you do that? We can be critical. We can sit here all day and talk about, even using sports allegories that you can pick a Monday morning quarterback. You can pick something that's wrong out, but can you help us with the solution? That's what my charge is.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Pless, because you see, we put you brothers on the screen and kind of let you do what you do because we want you guys to have the conversation. But the question I got to ask, when you start talking about a majority black city, majority black leadership, and historical problems from that majority black leadership, why aren't black people supposed to be at the forefront of calling for accountability?
That question to me, I don't disagree with that. But you can either you're going to be.
But this is let me tell you why I'm saying that because, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I want to make sure you understand why I'm saying that because every time I see somebody come in with a measure or a conversation of accountability to black leadership, black policies that have come from black leaders that have been ineffective, we always talk about, oh, you just regurgitating the problem. How can we get to accountability without saying this is what's wrong and this is who caused it?
Because government has historically had subjectiveness in its policies. So because the mechanism of government works like it works, and this has been for 400 years, this has been for 200 years of government, 250 years of government. This is how it works. So because we have throughout that process always have had to deal with how they hide their continued enslavement of us, whether it's through the federal housing laws, whether it's through post-Reconstruction eras policies, those things have we can't say because they decided to integrate us that the problem is over. That actually created more of a problem. Integration was probably one of the worst things that could have happened to our community. To that point, we were building our own communities and they were thriving. We had communities where there were, the plumber, the doctor, the dentist, the lawyer, the janitor, all stayed on the same block. Integration destroyed that sense of unity. And that seems to be a common theme through all of these kind of black codes and Jim Crow laws that have been integrated into the federal government. That seems to be the theme. Don't let them get together too quickly. So that whole policy of saying accountability, that shit is subjective. So I think that you should be accountable for this. Or is it better for me to say, hey, I have a solution for that problem? So
what I'm suggesting is return the power back to the people, period. Like when it comes to development, turn it back over to the CDCs in the community. Hire within those communities. Like, for example, for your contract, how many local people did you hire over there in East Baltimore?
All of our people are from Baltimore, every single one of them.
So, how many are from East Baltimore?
For what the project we're doing there, I would have to look at the payroll, but Baltimore is Baltimore. See, we can't get caught up in this kind of tribalistic nature.
I'm not saying that, but
you're trying to silo conversation so you can make a mark against what I'm saying. It's silly.
Let me finish talking, man.
Okay.
Like that, I was going to say that's good, but you want to get defensive already, right? So that's good. You're hiring people from Baltimore, from East Baltimore, whatever, right? We have to go back to returning the power back to the people, giving people back more money in their property taxes.
Okay, so what is your model for doing it? How do you do it? I have a way that I can do it. You can go to e2equation.com and it's clearly laid out. How would you do it? I know who to be critical of because I know
property taxes is way too high.
You said what?
Our property tax rate is way too high.
Hold on, are we talking about you creating a model to do what you needed to do and give that as a suggestion to the government, or are we just talking about random shit that you pull out the air that you trying to say, okay, yeah, we pay high tax rates because there's a mechanism in the city that allows real estate to stay blighted for 20 years without it having to be checked. So that's one of the reasons why we pay high real estate tax. Yes, and we black poor people that make up 65% of the city, we pay higher taxes and still are the poorest demographic. So yeah, that is crazy to me.
What I'm saying is, why me saying we have to cut our property taxes rate in half is pulling something out of the hat. That's an effective policy that we can put in place right now that the average homeowner would put in $200 to $300 a month back in their pocket right now.
Listen, I thought we had one question. You went and started. I said pulling out the air because you're talking about something we weren't. There wasn't the question, but okay. Just throw me some random shit you got to say, and I'll retort it. If you want to do that, if that's what we're doing, that's fine. Let's do that.
Now, listen, we having the dialogue, man. Like I said, I want y'all to be able to have the conversation. But what we talking about here again is because to me, I really believe that the biggest issue that we as a people have is a lack of unity. I believe that Pless's perspective and Jovani's perspective are two pieces to the whole puzzle. And what we fail to do is bring that brilliance together and prioritize where we need to start. Right? That's my personal viewpoint on it. Right?
No, and we can do that. We absolutely. I think that is a perfect. I mean, that is something to do because we do have to kind of meld these thoughts. Like Jovani could be on the front line, he can get to shine and be on Fox and whatever you want to do. I'll be in the background strategizing with the rest of the workers. Because what I think Jovani doesn't understand, and everywhere we go, we are the talent in the room. There's no ever any need again to sambo, soft juice, shuck and jive for anybody. Because you got to understand when you go in the room, you are the talent. All America and capitalism is really is what we do now, and what workforce development and MBE goals do is just really new age sharecropping. So my duty as somebody that's in a business is to do things that not just help myself, but to bring all of us out. That's what I'm charged with. That's what I've always had in my heart, and that's what I do. And it comes across that way. I just don't think sometimes the positions that Jovani takes are, more histrionics than just, we need to call this person out. Accountability is there. If the news or Jovani and his crew get a hold of something and it gets on it, then trust me, the police, the FBI, everybody's gonna fend that. We know that. It's gonna pull it out. But to keep continuously bashing on the same people, and 1 week is for 1 quarter is this, for the next 3 months is that, is just always trying to pull people down. And I just don't think that we should play a part in that.
So let me ask you a question, Pless. Should we not pull down the people that's holding our people down? I mean, we talk because I get what you're saying. And listen, bro, I'm with you. Hold on, hear me out. Because we talk histrionics and all that sort of thing. When we talking about, I'm a road warrior. I'm a street guy, right? I was saved from the streets, and for some reason, the platform that I've been given has been one to run back in the streets. And my thing is, I don't care what political party you are from. I don't care what color your skin is. If you are an oppressor, you are an oppressor. You know why? We had 8 years of Obama, and my hood still look like it looked. I ain't seen nobody elected locally or nationally that's brought any real change to where I care about. And again, I'm not saying this in objection to what you're saying. I just really don't get it because if his lane is policy reform, right, and your lane is the business spectrum, we need all that. I think what Nika said is very important. Nika said because to me, the reason that we lack unity is because we confuse unity with uniformity. We ain't gonna all look alike or sound alike, but we can definitely unify around where we gifted and prioritize what we need to happen and make sure that we're just not against each other. But go ahead, Pless, you had something?
No, I was just gonna say that we have to define because right now it's subjective. I could think one way about what needs to be pulled out and who needs to be, like Nika would say, kind of called in as opposed to called out. So I think there's room for that, but whose subjectivity? On Jovani's?
Well, how about the 219 Black lives that have been lost?
Okay, there's another one. So okay, I mean, Jesus.
How about what is your property? How about the number of abandoned properties that's in the city? Let's look at the tangible. How about the 7 convictions this year? Like these are the numbers. These are numbers.
Okay, okay, so I take a piece of a problem. That's perfect. I'm glad you're saying that. I create a solution for what I think. So I think that development is the key for enriching Black folks here in Baltimore. So I'm going to deal with that problem. So that's what Pless Jones Jr., P&J Contract, and Equality Equation Project, that's what we're doing. Now, if you want me to step over and solve a police problem, here's what my solution
I'm not asking you to solve anything. I'm saying this is when we calling out as people and citizens of Baltimore, we can call out everything. I vote here. I pay taxes here. My kids are in school here. I can call out, say anything about anybody I want to in Baltimore City because of something called freedom of speech.
Oh, absolutely, you can, but it's all how you want to look. So I think that old playbook of that old, like kind of even on the civil rights side and the Black Republican stance and their kind of characteristics, I think all of that shit is going to the margins now, because I think post-Trump, we still got the residual effect of what Trump has done. So we think that some shit is still in play, but it's actually not. So I think people could, because the world has gotten smaller based on the internet and information being right there, we can clearly see that everything that you're pulling out, everything that you're saying is just to kind of throw some darts at
why are you defending these corrupt politicians?
You have a name. You're defending them to the T right now. Name a corrupt politician, and I'll let you know. So you haven't named anyone. You're defending them to the T. You're defending them to the T.
Marilyn Mosley has 7 convictions right now.
You said what?
It's August.
What are you saying?
Marilyn Mosby has 7 convictions right now.
You got to put that into perspective. I don't even understand what you come with this random stuff, man. This is not you, Jovani. You seem flustered, brother. Get your shit together.
Learn the city you live in, man.
What does that have to do? We're talking about one thing. You interrupt and say something else. Listen, if we're gonna have a conversation, let's talk about what the topics are and deal with it. If you have a question about Maryland, how many convictions he's had, what kind of random shit is that to say just in the middle of a conversation? Come on, man.
I threw out the numbers for you to address.
Let me figure out who's hosting the show, because I'm answering one question and then you come in with just kind of
No. Let me jump in. Let me jump in as the host, because I don't see the conversation as random. I see it as fluid, and I think that what we trying to get to is the part of the conversation where, again, we got a variety of perspectives here. That's why I wanted to bring you two brothers on, right? And I appreciate what you say. If I'm gonna talk to Pless Jones Jr., Pless Jones Jr. believes that development and being a developer that empowers our people and redevelops areas in our city is his means to go and do that. But then you said if we bring the conversation to you about police reform or whatever the case may be to get your perspective, I think where we at right now in the conversation, right, is that it's on the table. If a politician is ineffective, right, and Jovani makes a post about it, right, and I'm not on anybody's side here, I'm the host, right? Jovani makes a post about it, and you come on and you give him a degree in sellout, then I want to know what it is that qualifies his perspective of an ineffective leader or a corrupt leader. If it's corruption, what qualifies that as being a sellout?
Well, I don't think that those conversations went like that. I think there was a lot of in between and a lot of dialogue between Jovani and I that may have concluded with a statement that was referenced that we were talking about at that point in time. So, if I would have to go back and reference the conversation to understand, but maybe it's just his energy, maybe it's just how I feel. I don't know what everybody else feels. I think that it can clearly be felt or seen when you talk to him. You see the circles he run in. You can you know,
he running my circle. I'm the hood. I'm the hoodest dude you're gonna find in Baltimore. He in my circle.
Listen. One thing I can't do is self-define who I let people tell me who I am and what they. I'm not a hardcore guy. I'm not a street guy. I'm not an office guy. I'm whatever. I'm just what I am. So I don't have to define myself as either this or that. I am just somebody who.
I'm saying that because you said the circles that he run in. That's what I'm saying. Like we don't. Let's not deflect away from our own commentary.
Okay, well, listen. What I'm saying is what I've seen. I've only seen Jovani in settings that are really kind of hyper political. You know, so what those people that are with him in those circles, that's what I speak of. I don't know that.
Well, he ran for public office. If I see you around a bunch of business people and developers, you're a businessman and developer. I don't think that's strange.
I don't put it past that you two are kind of, you know, kindred spirits at all.
I don't even know what that. I know what it means.
No,
I ain't gonna jump in that. I'm trying to get to the essence of what it is you're saying. You said you've seen him in hyper political circles. I met him when he was running for office. So to see a politician in political circles to me is no more strange than to see you in a group of developers and businessmen, because that's what you do. So I'm not quite sure what aspect of the conversations that qualify, because you say you see him in hyper political circles. My point is this, because we can have dialogue about who we believe we are. I do self-define myself. And when I say hood, I make hood look real good. I make it look real intelligent. And I make it look a whole lot of things that black people who are ashamed of it don't even want to engage, right? But I make it look real good. What I'm saying is, on the flip side of it is, when we bring up the conversation around, and let's just talk about the lead prosecutor having 7 convictions in a city where we got 219 murders. Why is that conversation considered random?
I didn't say that was random. What I was pointing out to was where I was taking my lead from in this interview, you know, because it's not kind of like anything else I've done or any other interview I've been on. So if I'm listening to you for the questions, I'm addressing that and not him. But now, like I said, I see that you two are on the page together, so I'm here. And
hey, Pastor Marvin, you about to earn your college degree right now. You about to earn yours right now, bro.
No, I mean, it's cool. Listen, if you can't,
don't buy into that. Don't buy into that.
I ain't worried about that. My point
don't buy into that, Pastor Marvin.
I ain't buying into nothing. My point is this: the conversations that I've seen you guys dialoguing in is ones that have been centered. The initial post or conversation is around addressing issues of the city. If you listen to my show, although we don't throw people under the bus, drag people, none of that, because that's classless and tasteless, we do have conversations about what's going on in our city. And my question is, if there's somebody that's saying out the school CEO, it's a group right now that's trying to, call for her resignation. I've tried to get anybody from the school system to be on the show. They refuse. If I then come back and I bring somebody, Shannon Wright or somebody else who's a part of that group that's trying to bring her down, does that make my show a kindred spirit to the person because I want to be able to have a dialogue about answers?
You buying into that, Pastor Marvin. Don't buy into that.
You said we kindred spirits.
I am saying don't buy into what the notion of that was.
Okay. I got you. But I want us to be able to just have the conversation.
No, so go back to the question about seven convictions with the state's attorney, and I'm good. So I think that's again, it goes back to what we said earlier, and the fact that there is always something new that we're going to place on a person, and so she has been the person that all of the kind of other side has been putting stuff on. I mean, if we talk about anything in what the state's attorney has done is, it should be talking about what she did that she ended the war on drugs in Baltimore. That is the biggest thing since Reagan declared the war on drugs. And no one.
Why didn't they do it the legal way then?
Say it again.
So why didn't they do it the legal way?
What's the legal way?
All she had to do was get her husband to change the laws.
Okay, so
instead of announcing a policy. Right, and instead of announcing her policy, which is something that she can do at her discretion, which that's what she can do. But instead of announcing that, why not have the actual laws change?
Well, I think you should probably try to seek a job as being her kind of PR people, because if that's what you're saying, I could say, well, why didn't she do it in this manner?
So,
I think that
what this is an example of, hey, anybody can break the law because our top prosecutor is going to break the law.
That is just
our mayor's going to be.
That's not well thought out, Jovani. That's silly. That's broad.
How is that silly? When we have laws that's on the books, and if you say, hey, these laws are racist or these laws should be repealed, then repeal the laws. Our husband is the chair of the legislative portion of our government. They're the lawmakers.
I hear you, Jovani. I mean, I just don't even know how to start to begin to answer that question because I think it's her as a state's attorney. I think it's her if she has devised a way to approach the kind of the school to prison pipeline, which is a child of the war on drugs. If she has a way to end that, which just immediately tourniquets that pipeline, then I think with her experience and her JD behind her and her staff and her understanding that not only does she have to make this public policy work, she has to make it look for the media a certain way. So if she is able to effectuate things or drop the crime rate in that way with all of that pressure, then I applaud her for doing so.
But has the crime rate really dropped?
Yes, the crime rate. With the trends nationwide, yes, it has. The crime rate has dropped.
Do you live in Baltimore City?
No, I live in Pikesville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we've been have our business in Park Heights for 42 years.
Man,
okay.
Listen. So I
live over here by the junction, and we got helicopters flying over here every night. Last night,
okay. Two
nights ago, I had the lights shining in my house.
Okay, and that is a part of that. People that are in poor areas than you, they live that reality every day. Yes, it's shots every day in those places. Okay. We're gonna blame Marilyn Mosby that. We're gonna blame her for that. That's crazy. If this has been designed, they were bombing us back in Oklahoma City in 1921.
We talking about Baltimore today.
I'm just talking about the hit. If you can't silo these things and then say I'm going to address it in this manner without understanding what systemic racism is and what it has been across this country forever. If you want to silo those things, because that's a kind of a way that you can look at it with your kind of blinders on. Because that's the only way you can have
cognitive dissonance with you.
Political stand. That's the only way you can have a political stand.
Let me say this too, because I think that a lot of times when you do hear that perspective, and I know I saw you posted something, you said you were interested in finding out what your non-traditional views are. There are a lot of people who believe that the conservative perspective that comes across when you are sharing your views, Jovani, is one that eliminates the reality of social engineering, social injustice, and many of the things that are a part of the reality of the Black experience in your commentary. How do you respond to that?
Look, I'm not ignoring the fact that we're here, right? My aim is to get us out, right? It's not so. Look, if I'm driving a car and I get stuck in the ditch, right? My whole mission is just to get out the ditch. I don't need to tell you that's trying to help me that I came from Texas, that I filled up at the Exxon three blocks away. I don't need to tell you any of that. The only thing I need to do is get out the ditch right now. That's my objective. Right now, our education system is failing. Our crime rate is still high. People are getting killed in the streets right now. All these things that are happening in Baltimore City. All I'm saying is we need better policy, better politicians that's wanting to fix these types of things. This corruption has to stop. All these partnerships with these nonprofits and stuff like that breeds corruption in Baltimore City. That has to cut out. We have to return the city back to the people, and that's all I stand for: is returning power back to the people. If that's a Black thing, if that's a white thing, I don't care what it is. All I'm saying is the people need to be responsible for the city.
Understood, but there has to be a way in which you do that, and how, and the subjectivity by which you define what that means for you. So it has to always be a plan that works within the system, that has to be designed in and around the system and what it allows you and how.
Well, how about this? The system needs to be burned to the ground.
Now we can't just say that again. That's histrionics. That's hyperbole. We can't live in those spaces. That's kind of a false reality, and this is why you give false equivalence when you come to trying to compare.
I know. Have you read Baltimore City Charter?
When you're trying to compare,
have you read Baltimore City Charter?
When you try to compare the false equivalency, because the legacy of white supremacy is what has us in this position today.
Okay,
Let's look
at the wording that's on the books. Let's look at the budget that's on the books that gets approved by our city council every year. That gets developed by our mayor every year.
Information lets you see that right now. So
which aspects of this have been changed? Which aspects of the way the city function has been changed?
I guarantee you, with the kind of light and the spotlight you have, if you came up with a valid solution, then I bet you would get through. And that's what we have to do.
It would, because I'm a black Republican.
That has nothing to do with it, silly.
It has 100%
It has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. You and you say that there's no kind of issues with racism and stuff in this America. You saying
so let me show you this. Property taxes is one of the biggest economic drivers that could see this city grow. Right? It's happened in Boston. It happened in San Francisco in the 70s. Property tax and restructuring of that will see the greatest economic boom Baltimore has ever seen. But why, when Carl Stokes introduced the bill, it got cut down?
I think, again, the most creative people don't stay in government. It's probably why Mr. Stokes isn't in government, because the most creative people are out here trying
to. He ran for city council last.
But I think he makes more of an impact with the way he works outside of government. I think the most creative people do not stay in government. They are out. They are in the private sector. So you, as one of these kind of,
I agree with you on that, and that's why I say the city needs to be returned back to the people to let the private sector thrive. But because of all the regulation and because of this kiss the ring mentality that our politicians have, that nothing will ever happen.
I get you out and clear, because I think what you said, and I think what one of those points was wrong, is that the CDCs need to get involved. But that is where the corruption lies, because the CDCs, by law in Baltimore City, or any city-owned property, the development of that has to go through the CDC. So that's where the corruption begins at the CDC level. You have some CDC, maybe have a CDC in Baltimore City that is built and well built enough to kind of withstand the kind of courting that predominantly white developer and organizations come to when they want to get something in the area. So yes, in that aspect, if there is, again, on the books for $1.5 billion entity, the Maryland Stadium Authority, to effectuate development in Baltimore City, there needs to be a black MSA, because there has to be some people that are strictly in the business of healing black folks. We have had every type of kind of organization adopt our type of issues or our struggle into theirs, and we have always constantly been pushed to the back of the line when it comes to what we really need to effectuate wellness. So what we do on our end with the Equality Equation Project is we come up with solutions, and we figure out what is the lie about gentrification? How can you spend $100 million in the area, but you sit in this way, but you can't spend it in that way? And we found out that was a big fallacy, that you can spend $100 million and make it a economic operation in a blighted and distressed communities without moving out citizens. We're making legacy renters, legacy ownerships, keeping them in the neighborhood and making them homeowners. There's an opportunity to do that in our project. And what we have to navigate on a day-to-day basis is all of the corruption. So I hear you loud and clear with that shit.
Because you in bed with him, man.
How am I in bed with him, Nut? How am I in bed with him?
because you're not willing to call out anybody.
I don't listen. There's no one for me to call. No one that, if I disagree with a politician, I disagree with a politician. And I disagree with some of the politicians that I'm working with on the levels in the communities that I'm working in. Disagree with them vehemently. But I also understand, to a degree, that that's their position. That's all they got. So what I try to do.
What does that mean? That's all they got.
That their worth. You can't. What my uncle told me one time is that you cannot take away a man's worth. You even though a man may be just dropped down and just a snake in the grass, you have to figure out what his worth is and work with that, as opposed to just criticize what he can't do. So that's the approach I take, because that's the approach that people need to take with black, because we always going to be in the media on the bad side of everything. So if we take that understanding, and I think to some degree that you do that, Jovani, if we take that understanding and apply it to black folks across the board, then my opinion of black folks will probably be just like yours, but it's not. And it's not because I come out with, hey, let me figure out how I make you look better. Because I probably work with a politician that's probably functionally illiterate. You know what I mean? But I don't take that word from him. I make sure he understands that, this is how we can work together and make sure.
So what's the obsession with making them look better instead of doing what's right? Because
you have to understand the nature of the beast. What's right, we can parlay them or curtain them into what's right. What the understanding is that beast, no one, as much as I think Obama and my heart was really fluttering when he became president. There takes a certain type of person that wants to have that position. And I don't think that person is necessarily the person that's really going to be fighting for that homeless guy in this community. That's not that guy. But that guy can make that person that will do that will look out for that homeless guy in the community. He can make my job easy if I can make him move in the right direction. So we have to understand their ambition. Otherwise, those candidates that are put forth that have the drive and the money behind them in the news media, then those are people that are always going to win, because those are people that it showed in the election with Kathy Pugh and Sheila Dixon. Sheila Dixon was clearly the better candidate, but because this tranche of money came behind Kathy Pugh, then she won the election. $1 million for TV. Sheila couldn't afford that, but she still barely won. So you have to understand the nature of what you're talking about, and that's hyperbole, and get into these spaces that you are being kind of manipulated and used to kind of keep the discord. I mean, there's different ages like that in our community. You're just on that. I'm a black Republican. So
how do you know so much about me? I'm being manipulated and used and all this other stuff.
Social media, and I see you on Fox News.
You're saying my ideas aren't my own.
Your ideas. I haven't heard any of your ideas. I've only heard the kind of rhetoric you use that seem to always continuously follow what Fox or the Republican line is. So, I that's all I get.
I tend to think for myself, man. And all my views are my own. So anything you've seen me stand on, that's been my words, my choice of words. And if something is sent to Fox News, I send it to everyone.
It's just the universe coming together. It's the universe coming together for you, Jovani. It's just coincidence. Hey, absolutely, I get it.
I mean, you got some. I don't know. You know more about me than I do.
Oh man, come on, Jovani. Look, come on. We didn't come all this way for a second round knockout. Come on, get your shit together. Get your shit together. This is what I wanted.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
So there are a few questions on the screen from the people in the comments. If y'all don't mind addressing a few of them, as far as solutions.
So I think the fundamental solution is, one, understanding how government works from a grade level all the way up. Civics and all these things were taken out of school, right? I think there should be studies in the city charter, the city budget, those type of things throughout high school, throughout the grade school process. That way, people have a fundamental understanding of how government works, why it was set up, the legislative process within the city, and how these laws and ordinance actually affect them. Because this now creates this empowerment within everybody as a citizen, right? And when we have that, this corruption, which essentially is because we don't know what they're doing, or we don't know how the process works, because we're just oblivious to it, that goes away, right? So when we bring back civics within our education, we have to lower our property taxes, because that's going to attract more families in. If you notice, we we have more black families leaving Baltimore due to high taxes, high crime, and a poor education system than we do white families leaving Baltimore. So though property taxes, reintroducing civics into our education system, and also money following the kids when it comes to education, right? We get $16,000 per child in Baltimore City, and that money should either be able to go to homeschool, private school, or what have you, and have the citizens be able to decide. Everything I say, return the power back to the people. Instead of putting it into this government control or hoping the government will be the ones to solve the problems, let's put the power back into the hands of the people.
Absolutely. So,
Plus, anything to that?
Oh yeah. So I think that the issue is always economics. So what we have to do is to, and how it's leveraged in this city specifically is that there are a lot of blighted areas, and those areas are assigned funding from the state and federal government. What needs to happen is that those development areas need to have developers that are of my hue in that space. Otherwise, we'll get the gentrification that is kind of prevalent in every major city here today. So we need to have black developers that hire black contractors who always hire black folks, and all this is in an effort to effectuate the wealth gap or home ownership with legacy citizens. That's what moves the racial wealth disparity is home ownership. So we have to make economic operations within our community. So what we do with the Equality Equation Project, we found that workforce development and education, sports and recreation, and health and wellness are operations with partners on at the city agencies and the state agencies will allow us to create that economic driver within blighted communities. And because they are mortgage interest programs that allow us in that situation to be able to give low interest loans to people that don't have the greatest credit or the greatest credit score or even money for a down payment, then we're able to build legacy citizens with home ownership. And that's a model that we are put into play, and that again, albeit for the challenges that we have with dealing with the people that create subjectivity within that mechanism, we could go straight through. But again, navigating the politics, navigating the challenges with dealing with people through their subjective nature and kind of the transient nature of politicians, meaning that every 4 to 6 years they get on their grind and they have to try to win their election. So if you catch them at the right time, you can get your project started, and by the time you get ready to get what you need, you'll be at the end where they need to grind again. So you just got to understand the nature of that beast as well. But effectually it's through real estate development and those assets that are allocated for blight relief in our communities and our blighted communities, because there's billions of dollars that's been given annually to those purposes. But that person in the city that acts as the federal housing commissioner directs those funds. So he can say, this guy, and this guy, we're going to work with you to do this. And it's never people that have our interests. Definitely nobody that looks like us for the most part, but definitely nobody that has our interests in mind, meaning that we have to build 3 angles of wellness that can sustain themselves operationally, because it uses the state and local government subsidies that are there and available that don't get hardly ever used up annually. They are there for us to kind of heal our community. So that's a way I go with, and that's the difference, I think, kind of fundamentally between Jovani and I. I'm more solution oriented person, and he's a kind of a hey, look what's going on here, and critical and critiquing the people that are in place, because they don't know how to do these things. We have to bring them to them and say, here, this checks all the box. This allows you to get your photo op. This is done in a legal structure. This has precedent with other models or other projects that's come before that, and here's how it's done. So instead of this kind of area,
I've offered policy solutions. I don't know. You just
So we need to wrap this up, but from what you brothers just said, I mean, I did hear ways you brothers can work together. I don't, for me, it's like, okay, well, if you're doing it like, if you're doing it like this and you're doing it like that, if we're all trying to get the same thing, Malcolm, Martin, it's like, I don't see why it needs to be an against. It's just like, all right, bro, I do it like this in this lane, you do it like that in that lane, but we still trying to get to that same place. So I don't see why it needs to be a Pless or a Jovani. I don't see why it needs to be an either or type.
So that's never been my position. That it's an either or. I've just been attacked by this man like since he commented on my post. Like every time I post something, he called me
I firmly believe in
stuff like this. All I'm saying is I can point out stuff as a taxpaying resident of Baltimore City. That's all I'm doing. And I encourage anyone who has grievance with their government to do the same. This is what I'm talking about, returning power back to the people. If people are just sitting in silent about every issue, then the government says, hey, they don't care what we're doing. They don't care. All I'm trying to do is encourage people to say, hey, you can speak up about this. There's nothing that says you cannot speak up about these things. But what's going on from you to me is like, I have to say, or I'm not offering solutions, or I'm saying all these talking points or whatever. No, all of my ideas are my own. From the research I've done, from the study of economics that I've done, all these things, these are my own ideas. Numbers just make sense to me. I'm an engineer by trade, so I'm looking at numbers. This is all it is to me. But you keep coming up with these emotions and
from the bottom of my
heart, goes from right there.
No, from the bottom of my heart, I firmly and truly, with everything in me, Lord knows, I believe that you're a sellout. Absolutely, I believe that you're being manipulated by certain people to have you out here and give you a platform.
You have every right to do that. I 100% support your right to believe that I'm a sellout.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you.
So we're gonna I'm gonna ask for some closing statements, and Pless, you're going. I'll let you finish, and Jovani, I'll let you take us out.
I guess again, if I anybody that's in you all's audience or see this on repeat, go out to E2 equation. We have an economic model that kind of is anti-gentrification. So that's what we're about. I'm not here about on anybody's newscast or showing anybody up. I see all of this as an opportunity to kind of spread the news about our model and what we're doing. And I think that I thank Jovani for being the person that he is, because otherwise we wouldn't be at this point and be able to be on your platform to talk about the problems in Baltimore and how we see how we both see solutions coming about. And I just firmly believe that he is either he's willing or unwilling accomplice in the discord or agent of discord in our community. So that is to be determined. If I look at some of his policies and they make sense, I don't think they will. But if they do, I'll come back and I'll applaud him. I think it's all hyperbole. I think it's histrionics. And I think that, Shaka Zulu or Malcolm X would have said, if we're going to get into the struggle, if we're going to get into the collective struggle and really be a part of it, he's somebody that we need to get rid of and get him away from our community, not physically, but just say, he is not party to what the black struggle is, and naming him black conservative, black Republican, black anything is a detriment to black folks. So whatever you call you, if you conservative, just say you conservative. Don't say you black anything, because evidently that shit ain't in you.
Wow. Okay, brother Jovani.
Well, that was pretty sad. But look, what I stand for is faith, freedom, and family. I believe we have to get back to faith. We have to get back to our freedom and understanding what that is, and get back to restoring our family units. And that's when we'll see everything. We'll see success. We'll see things thrive in Baltimore City. If it's not about that, then I don't know what it's about. What it's about. We have to remember what freedom is. We have to understand that we have the power as Black people, as people in general. We have the power to run the city, right? Again, I go back and always remind everyone our hierarchy from our Baltimore City budget. The people are at the top, and we have to just go back and remember that people run this city, not the powers that be, not the ones that want to control the city. The only reason they control it is because we've removed ourselves from those power positions. So when we go back to that, when we understand how it's set up for us, and take our power back, that's when things will change. So, I just want to encourage everyone to stand up, to speak your voice, to start protesting, marching, whatever you need to do for the justice or the injustice in our city. If that's not me being black, then I don't know. I just stand for what's right.
All right, brothers, I do appreciate y'all for being here on behalf of Marvin and the Chop Shop. This has been a very spirited conversation. I don't know if you guys seen, but the chat, you both had sides in the chat room.
Jovani got a traveling circuit, so I know he always gonna have a lot of people. He got a whole group of dancers, backup dancers and everything. You gotta see
my team is the best. But I do want to put a plug in. Tonight we're going to have Charles Sam Faddis on my show on Metro Conservative Media tonight at 8:30. He's a former CIA agent. He's going to be talking about what's going on in Afghanistan. He's a former intel analyst. He's going to be talking about what's going on there tonight. So
okay,
I'll definitely tune in.
Okay, outstanding. At Metro Conservative Media.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just look us up on YouTube or Facebook. It'll go live on Facebook too.
Outstanding, brothers. Again, I appreciate y'all. All the people in the comments. Y'all were dope tonight. We really appreciate y'all tuning in. We really appreciate y'all giving y'all input and providing some really good questions and commentary for everyone to think about. So we appreciate y'all at the Chop Shop. Make sure y'all tune in next week.